Welcome to BoxPred. Ricky Burns against Michael Katsidis is happening this weekend for the interim WBO lightweight title. I was watching UK Wing Chun students' prediction video for this fight, and he made some very valid points. It's a good video, you should check it out if you haven't already done so. And I did message the student particularly about a point he made regarding Ricky Burns' power being a concern in this fight, the fact that he may not be able to gain the respect of Michael Katsidis, which often is a key factor when you're fighting Katsidis, due to his pressurizing come forward style. And I think we've established that we are both in agreement on that fact in this fight, on that issue. And also, whilst watching that video, I was thinking to myself, if I believe that Michael Katsidis wins this fight, then when do I think it ends, or do I think it goes to decision? Well, if I'm going to say that Ricky Burns won't be able to keep Michael Katsidis at bay, then logically I'm thinking about a stoppage victory for Katsidis. And then I was thinking, when would it come? And I was actually thinking, before UK Wing Chun student actually gave his prediction, I was thinking probably around the 9th round. I believe that's when Katsidis was stopped by Juan Manuel Marquez, and that was sort of in my head for some reason, but I was thinking that Katsidis he's going to stop this around about the 9th round. So yeah, I think me and the student are in agreement with the actual prediction on this, and I'm predicting a stoppage around the 9th round for Michael Katsidis. Don't often do that, but I thought it was a point to bring up because the student brought up some good points in his video, and actually in agreement on the actual prediction in this one. So let's look at Michael Katsidis. He is, as we know, a pressure fighter. He comes forward a lot. He's a pretty much an all or nothing fighter. He's a warrior, a gladiator. He's very exciting to watch. I don't think he's ever really involved in a boring fight, and this should be no different. He has fought at world class level. He has fought at a higher level, I would say, than Ricky Burns has. And although Ricky Burns has been a world super featherweight champion, maybe it's the divisions they were in and the talent pool in those divisions, but I do feel that Ricky Burns possibly hasn't faced the level of world class opposition that Michael Katsidis has. One main point and one main weapon in Katsidis' arsenal here, which I would like to make what I believe could actually be a key factor in this fight, is his ability to throw punishing body shots. In his last fight, I can't remember who he was against, since he's fought and lost to Robert Guerrero, he's fought another guy over in Australia, and I believe it was a body shot that ended that fight. And he does have the ability to really deliver powerful body shots, and I think that will be maybe a focus of his in this fight, so look out for those. He's only really been beaten by world-class opponents in the 4 losses he's had. Juan Diaz, back when Diaz was really a top name at lightweight. Casamayor, another world-class opponent. Then he's lost to, obviously, Juan Manuel Marquez, who is a very extremely gifted counterpuncher who has power. And also, more recently, we all know Robert Guerrero, who is proven himself to be a world-class lightweight fighter with supreme boxing skills. Now, looking at Ricky Burns, first of all, he is moving up in weight from what he was fighting at, because he was a super featherweight world champion. He's moving up here to lightweight, but the weight is not an issue because, as we now know, he was really struggling to make super featherweight, and this is just pretty much going to work more in his favour, being able to fight at a weight he's comfortable at. I think his camp and team have made a point of making it public that the weight is good for him now. He is moving into this weight very nicely. He's more comfortable here at lightweight. So I'm not expecting weight to be an issue. I think that Ricky Burns, actually, in my opinion, has the quicker hands than Katsidis. In terms of his overall, if you look at the way he boxes, I think Ricky Burns does have quick hands. He has he's a good boxer. He has good boxing ability. He's definitely not someone who Katsidis can just come in and walk over, I don't think. But then again, we thought that about Kevin Mitchell, who, in my opinion, is a better boxer than Ricky Burns, more skillful boxer, and he was steamrolled. Now we know Kevin Mitchell had his personal problems in that fight, but still, Katsidis showed in that fight that you really have to be a world-class boxer really to beat the guy. And unfortunately, I don't really think Ricky Burns is quite a world-class fighter. He's a very good fighter, but I wouldn't say he's world-class. And then we come to the main issue, is the power factor. Ricky Burns, I don't think has the power to really pin back Michael Katsidis and keep Michael Katsidis at distance and at bay. This is the thing. If you're going to beat Michael Katsidis, if you're going to if you're going to beat him, basically you have two options. You really have three, but you have two initially. You can either run all night, counter punch him, keep away from him, get in while you can, get out while you can. And really you have to be very good with your foot movement. You have to be very sound at fighting outside. You need to have a very good jab. You need to be excellent to counter punch him. We saw with Juan Manuel Marquez, actually, I think Katsidis actually had him down early on, but then Marquez is notoriously a slow starter, and his style shows that he grows into fights and he actually figures out his opponent as he goes along. So then when he finally found Katsidis out, he was able to counter punch him, he was able to take the lead, and he was able to stop Katsidis. Just caught him too many times. We're talking about a masterful technician in Marquez. Ricky Burns, I feel, would struggle to complete this option, because I don't think he's, from what I've been watching Ricky Burns over the years, he's not the type of guy who can continuously run all night and have the discipline and boxing skill to be able to stay away completely from Katsidis and just take his chances as they come. I think he would be drawn in rather quickly. The other option is that you stand your ground and you hope to come out on top. This requires you to be a very good boxer, like Robert Guerrero is, and what he did with Katsidis. He's able to counter punch Katsidis, able to beat him to the punch, just being quicker to the punch, just being the better boxer really, and coming out on top. Ricky Burns could try this, but again, I don't want to sound too down on Ricky Burns here, but again, I'm struggling to see where his boxing skill comes up to the level needed to be able to complete that task. Then the third option, there is a third option. You could do what Kevin Mitchell did to John Murray, because John Murray is known as a pressure fighter also. And against Kevin Mitchell, when he was putting pressure on Kevin Mitchell did a bit of both. At times, the two guys were fighting toe to toe, and Mitchell got in there and he roughed it up, and he traded and gave as good as he got with Murray. And then some other rounds he would be on the run. He'd be on the back foot. He'd be running around. He'd be beating, trying to beat Murray to the punch, trying to counter punch him. He was switching it up throughout the fight. That's another option that Ricky Burns has here, and maybe that is something that could work for him, because if you do switch up the rounds like that, then you keep Michael Katsidis guessing, and if you are able to, if you have a good night, if Ricky Burns has a good night, then he may be able to confuse Katsidis a bit. In some rounds, close the distance, take a risk, come in on Katsidis, and try and give as good as you get. Try and use his faster hands. If he's been training, try and train on the inside, get better on the inside, You know, practice on the inside, and then in other rounds, take a step back a bit, try and dictate a bit of that pace. We've been working on that jab. You know, these are things he could try and do and switch it up in different rounds, and that will be up to him and his team to decide. I don't know if that's something he would consider, and this is a very difficult fight for him to think about fighting because, you know, as I've already said, if you're not completely, you know, world-class fighter, and you're simply a very good, a good boxer like Ricky Burns is, then you're going to struggle. So, be interesting to see how he comes out in this one against Katsidis. What I think is going to happen is Katsidis is going to. He's been a bit cautious in his more recent fights. He used to really come out the blocks, really swinging and come straight forward, but he seemed to start a little bit more cautious now, doing a bit more circling rather than coming forward at the start in the first couple of rounds, trying to feel out his opponents, and then once he's sussed out what they have to offer, then he's going to come in and attack. I think if he is a bit going to be a bit cautious like that against Burns, I think he's quickly going to find out that the power is not going to be that much of a concern for him. Burns' power, unfortunately for me, is not going to gain his respect. And the longer the fight goes on, the more Katsidis is just going to be able to go in for the kill, and he's going to pretty much try and do what he wants to do. He's going to be able to do what he loves to do, which is walk through, take punches to give punches. What I think, therefore, is critical for Ricky Burns in this fight is punch placement rather than power. Counter punchers can tell you punch placement is often more damaging the punch power, because if you can give different angled punches that the opponent doesn't see, they can have just as much effect as if you give a really powerful one that they can see. And while I don't believe that Ricky Burns possesses that great quality of having powerful punches delivered that the opponent can't see, which most of the time they're the type of punches that lead to knockout victories, he will be able, and he has got the ability, to deliver punches with punch placement. Maybe there will be an accumulative effect on Michael Katsidis if he can manage to be accurate with his punches, keep the volume up, but also keep Katsidis guessing in some way. Then I feel his punches could have an accumulative effect. And you know, if he's on a good night, then Ricky Burns could try and box his way to a decision. I can't see him stopping Katsidis unless he has a really good night and his accumulation of punches end up getting to Katsidis, and Katsidis gets stopped by getting beaten up a bit too much. I'm going on a bit here, so I'm going to end it now, basically saying that I think Katsidis is going to get to Ricky Burns the longer the fight goes on. I think Katsidis is going to punish him as it goes on. Burns is going to be taking a bit of a beating, and I think that the body punches and the accumulation of Katsidis' onslaught and his pressure fighting is going to end up being too much for Ricky Burns. I'm predicting a round 9 stoppage for Katsidis. I will say now, it can quite possibly be earlier than that. You know, Mitchell only lasted 3 rounds, and in my opinion, he's a better boxer than Ricky Burns, more skilled, with more ability. But I think that Ricky Burns, I'll give him the benefit of the doubt in this one. I think he's going to give a good showing because the guy has heart, and he knows how to try and get through things and give his all. So I think that it's going to go around later rounds, 9th round I'm going to go for. So I think Michael Katsidis wins this by stoppage. I'm going to end it there because this video has been way longer than I thought it was going to be. Thank you for watching. As always, please subscribe and do let me know what you guys think. This is BoxPred, and I'm out.